One. All right. How's it going, guys? Hey, we are live on the internet. I've got a new friend that I met here, Kyle. Kyle, introduce yourself, my friend.
Kyle Young. I'm a January 6th political prisoner and just recently been pardoned by
Right on.
Donald Trump himself.
Right. That we can just drop the mic right there. How many people can say that? How many people can say the words that just came out of your mouth and it's real, man? It's crazy. Do you happen to have the pardon like handy or hanging out or anywhere?
It's actually on the phone.
Okay, right on. Okay, so it came through. I'm just setting up our audio here. So it came through like the internet, like email.
Yeah, an email, and it shows my pardon. I think they're eventually going to make something up eventually, but right now it just shows your pardon by Donald J. Trump.
Sorry, man, I have a little bit of feedback here. Okay, cool. Let's check my audio. That's really cool. So your lawyer sent it to you.
No, it was actually from the office.
The okay. Oh, that's right. The Department of Justice has a pardon like division.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know that. Well, I'm just going to put your info up here so people know that's really you. So on April the 14th, 2021, 6 a.m., the FBI comes to your house, comes to your door. They arrest you in front of your family.
Yes.
And welcome to the Jason J. Daniels Show. You take it from there, brother. How did that feel? Not many people can experience that and then get a pardon and be on the other side and talk about the tale. Tell me about that terrible moment.
I actually went out and I was going to go to work. So I was going outside. And I only actually had shorts on at the moment. I was getting kind of get my stuff around, getting ready to go to work early, and I see a black SUV across the street. And I
It's
said,
always the black
"Oh."
SUV. Oh man.
I said, "Well, here's the day's the day," and I kind of just waved at them, and they
Okay.
pulled up and pulled gums on me and said freeze, and they
Wow.
detained me. And then I told them, I said, "Hey, I have dogs and little kids. They're all asleep, and they had all their battering rams. They had a bomb guy expert there. And how many people do you think it was?
Uh, you know what?
20 plus.
I think I've suppressed it.
And
Sure. Yeah. No, and I understand it's a painful memory. So, you guys don't, whatever you're comfortable talking about, I'm cool.
yep. And they proceeded to go in without me, and I'm watching with machine guns, and I'm all like, "Oh my god!"
So you were
I'm all
outside.
Yes, so I was outside while they went in, and then they ended up letting me go in to say hi to the kids real quick, and my wife, and then she ended up taking off with the kids and stuff, and then they read me my charges. That's where I went, what?
Right.
I'm like, well, I'm going to prison for life. Um,
Wow. Yeah. I mean, because now to give a little background to everyone, let's just say this: we jumped in the story. You were given we'll jump to the chase here. You were convicted, and you were given the fourth largest sentence out of what 300 people or all the people that were
It was
right.
1,560, I think, that got arrested.
Right, and you were given the four. You're like on the Mount Rushmore of the big sentences. It's crazy.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So they actually used the 1512, which got thrown out in the Supreme Court, because it states it's threatening judges, witnesses, or lawyers, or destroying of evidence. It's quite clearly that none of that happened,
Right.
and that held up to 20 years. And then with Mike Fanone's testimony, because he said that I told him during the little incident that we had that I was going to rob him. I was going to take his firearm and kill him with it. So they gave me robbery of a firearm. So that was that was two charges that should never been on top. And then the assaulting of a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
That was my next highest one.
Which
but they used those.
Go ahead.
That's maximum of 8 years, which they used the other. It held up to 20 years, and the robbery was up to 15. So they used those two that they should never used against me to basically kind of get me to take a plea and leverage to do it, which that's actually unconstitutional.
Yeah, because that's the story. Obviously, you did take the plea, so they had leveraged you with so many charges that if you had gambled and gone to trial, even though you're like, hey, I need my
Eh,
time, my
eh,
day in court. If you had lost, you could have been looking at 30, 40 years, right?
Uh, it probably been more like 12 to 14,
Okay.
12 to 16
Okay. Oh,
years.
I'm making up
Yeah, yeah,
numbers.
well,
Sorry,
yeah,
everybody.
it could have been more, but yeah, it'd been like that. But so everybody that went to court on the 1512 was found guilty. So why, in my reasonable mind, would you go? Well, everybody before you did. Why? And you know what I mean. So why would I go and take that? It's automatically guilty.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right.
I'm going to get 12 to 14 years, or I could take a plea bargain that's a maximum of 8.
Yeah,
It's zero
right.
to 8 years.
And you had, by the time you got to trial, you had been incarcerated for more than a year, 2 years,
16 months.
16
Time I
months,
went. Yep.
year and a half.
And they kept me in max with
Right.
no other J6 defendant, because we wasn't supposed to be around the DC people, and all the people from DC, when they took a plea, when they got sentenced, they get shipped to that jail, and most of
Mhm.
them to the max, and they're a little bit different. They're pretty violent, really. It's real. They're all known through the federal prison system that the DC people are extremely violent, and I've seen a lot of it. They're pretty
It's
different, different way of life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
you knew that this was not going to be easy.
I
Um,
thought a few times I was going to lose my life.
I could understand that. Now, when you guys, the J6 folks are incarcerated, is there any? Do people like know? Hey, this is a J? Is there any kind of fanfare? Do they put you? Do they separate you? Are you singled out? I mean,
I
how
was I was never separated from. I was separated from all the other J6ers.
you okay? But not general pop. You were like
Always
you were
with them, and, yeah,
you
and
were
usually either they hated me or loved me. There was like
so
no in between.
got it. There's no black or white with that. Well, let me take a step back. This is incredibly interesting, and I really appreciate you coming on. Also, I want to say thanks to your family, your wife, obviously helping facilitate this. She's a warrior, man.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah, I
And
mean,
she puts up with me.
stood by you, right? So you had found out months before that you were on the FBI's wanted list, or there was pictures of like, and so you went to the marshals and you're like, "Hey, man, here I am. I'm not running." Right? Is that right?
Yes. So my cousin, like a few days after I got home, she sent me a picture and said, "Hey, is this you?" And I looked at it. I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's that?" She goes, "That's the FBI." It wasn't wanted. It wasn't wanted. It was wanted information.
Oh, right. It was right after the riot, and everybody
Yep.
was right because they were
Oh,
taking screen caps and got it. Oh, okay.
yep.
So,
Um.
so it's like, hey,
I,
you're on the screen capture.
yep. So I went and asked some lawyers. Says, "Hey," and they said if they had that up there, they already know who you are. I was like,
Sure.
okay. I said,
They put it up
I was
there.
like,
Yeah.
I had big dogs. I had an English Mastiff, Akita, and then a German Shepherd, and plus little kids.
Yeah.
And my youngest son, he was 16 months at the time. He would always go sit by the door, and I'm like, get away from the door, because you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're gonna battery ram it. You know what I mean?
You're
And
paranoid. Yeah.
so I just said, hey, I'm just gonna go turn myself in, and if they want me, they want me, and it just so be it. At least it keeps my family out of harm's way, and that's
Yeah.
just what.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's just what I was thinking. So when I went in there, um, the the marshals didn't. They said they didn't know anything, so they
Yeah.
called in the FBI. The FBI came in, and then they tried to ask me some questions. I said I have nothing to say. If you need to talk to anybody, you can talk to my lawyer.
Which is
And they
completely fair to do and what you should do.
and then they act like almost like I was making up, because they kept coming back probably like 10, 12 times with my picture. Are you sure this is you? Yes.
Hmm.
And then they come back in. You sure this is you? Yes. And they just kept asking that. And then he said he got a hold of DC to see if what they wanted to do. And he says, and they pretty much said, go on home. We had no charges for you.
Wow. So
And then,
you try to turn yourself in, or just, face the music. You're like, hey, this is who I am. I'm transparent. I'm not hiding anything. The FBI interrogates you and they still let you go.
yes.
See, and the misnomer is, and this is obviously goes without saying, that the media just put out there that everybody was on the run, everybody's on the lam. It's a bunch of bandits, it's a bunch of outlaws, and they're terrible people, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
exactly the opposite. You're a family man. You're a hardworking guy. You're just trying to support your political, opinion, right?
Yeah.
And you're out there, and you things go down, and then you get home, and then chaos is in your life. So that was like a 4-month period from when you tried to turn yourself into 3 months.
3 months. Yep.
And then, so when they came to your home, one last question. I know it might be uncomfortable, but when they had the battering rams and all these things, and you're like, "Hey, I'm out front." Did they draw on you? And you're like this out front.
Yes, they pulled their guns on me. Yep.
So you handled that quite well because it worked out. You're here. And so, did they force their way in, or did they go in and
No,
say,
no,
"Hey,
I
we
left
have
the
to
door
walk in"?
unlocked. I told them the door was unlocked. So
Okay, so they didn't overdo it. Okay, so they take you in, into custody. How long were you in custody before you what like talk about that experience, like your civil rights, like your opinion, and I want to just there's nobody here. I'm just acting like I'm talking to people. I just want to put out to everybody watching this. Kyle is going to tell a story, and it's his story. It's his truth, what he went through, and judge for yourself. He's making himself vulnerable. If he mentions other people in the story or people that he has opinions, this is alleged. We are alleging when we're talking about folks. We're not saying this is what happened unless it's according to him or factual. So I just want to put that out there. Okay. We just want a disclaimer. We're just trying to tell a
yep.
story.
Yep.
So what happened after you were taken into custody? Did you experience anything that you thought was a violation of your civil rights? Because I'm a libertarian. I'm very interested. I do think the Department of Justice obviously just went crazy on people and took it too far. And I believe it was completely politically motivated by the Biden administration. No doubt in my mind. But I
I
want to know, what was your experience?
when they first picked me up, it really was just probably like what you'd say basic, like
Mm.
process me in, and they so I kind of sit in a holding place. They're at the courthouse. They processed me, then they moved me to the jail, and I was at in Polk County. Was probably normal, whatever. I was there for 10 days. Then they moved me from there to CCA Fort Leavenworth. That place was nasty,
Wow.
nasty. Like all the wiring were like there's an emergency button that you should be able to push for like help, like you're having a heart attack, choking. Then we're all ripped off and the wires are hanging out. They it, it's called K2 Deuce, whatever. I don't know what it is. It's on little pieces of paper. It's tons of it there, and everybody's like on just flip flopping around on drugs.
So yeah,
Um,
it's like a prison drug.
yep, yep. And then one day, uh, so I broke a tendon in my foot right before they picked me up, and so my ankle's messed up. So they're taking me to a infirmary for it, and we're walking by where they make food and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you could smell like somebody like farted or crapped their pants or something, but it was coming from the kitchen. And even the guard said, "What is that smell?" Somebody actually shit in the chili. Excuse my language.
God, no, like it's the internet. This is a story you should tell. In
Yep,
fact,
yep, yep.
this is what you just said is why I podcast
Yeah,
moments
yeah.
like this. God
And
damn. So like somebody, so like they're just like, what? They kept cooking it. Like what the hell?
so they
What?
actually try to serve it to us. And when they brung it into the units, and well, to our unit, at least I can't say for everybody else, you could smell it. And I was already telling people, I said, "Man, that smells like crap." And
So the guys making it did this, like, because you got other prisoners making it.
yes, so it had to be, or you don't know if it, but there's other guards too around, so you don't know who did
Yeah,
what. But
right. It's just a
um,
free for all.
yep, and so they even thought it was true, and it smelled bad enough. They came back and give us like 3 chicken sandwiches, big ones, a piece, and said, "Hey, you guys not going to actually cause a problem." And they had to give that to the whole prison. So I'm pretty sure that actually happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Why would they go to those lengths if yeah. Wow. So obviously, okay. Do you have another story that's wild? Give us another story since we're on a roll.
Uh, all right. So I went to CCA, not CCA, but I went to Cimarron, not Cimarron, but Grady County, Oklahoma, and that was probably pretty basic, except they had 3-man bunks, and it's kind of old and nasty,
So
but
you're still waiting for trial while this is going on.
yep. Well, so yeah, then so
This
this is
is happening.
before really anything. This is just
Wow.
getting to Warsaw. So then I go from there, and
Wow.
I get flown from CCA Leavenworth to Grady County, in Oklahoma, and then I was there for 10 days, and then they call that the diesel treatment, where they move you around a lot.
Okay.
And so then after 10 days, they fly me to Warsaw, Virginia, and out of all the places I've been at, that is the most disgusting place there is. What they do,
it's a federal prison.
it's a federal holding, and it's actually a county jail, but they have a contract with the feds, and what they do to people there is nasty. The living conditions are nasty. So like I guess they maybe leave some of the cake out or stuff they make for breakfast, and you can see where mice ate into it. Sometimes even maybe a mice turd on it.
Wow.
But what they do to people there is unspeakable. I'm just going to mention one incident where it was the worst occasion that I seen. Is probably I was in there for a month or two, and I'm in the max part, and we're all out in like this little day room pod area, and all of a sudden we hear a big bang in the hallway. So we all kind of like, and you can't see out into the hallway or anything, but we could hear things. And the next thing you know, there's a door that comes into its what would you call that where it's like a hallway you can see in between, but there's windows. So they have a
like
pod,
a corridor, maybe like a
corridor. So right in the corridor, so you hear the door to the pod or the corridor, something slam against it, and you're like, "What's that?" And all of a sudden, it slides open because it slides sideways, and all of a sudden, it was a black dude, and he had his arms and legs were shackled and had a cop on each arm and each leg. And so so then you either go to the shoe or you could come to our unit. Well, they were taking him to the shoe, and they actually took kind of, I wouldn't say a run, but a good fast paced walk. And while they're coming up to the door, they rocked him back and then slammed him forward like a battering ram and his head against it. And he was already knocked out and blood went everywhere. And then so after that, they brung him in. They left that door open so we could see into it. And it's called a buck chair. Like if you're getting crazy, they'll strap you down to it, and the more you move, the tighter it gets.
Wow.
So they strap him into this. They mace him, and then they start beating him up. Still, I thought they were going to kill him. I don't know who it was, and I never seen him again. But I was like, they do that to people here, and they do. But that's the worst I seen of it. But they do things like that to you
to keep you essentially in fear and under control.
Yes, and a lot of it has to do with the DC guys.
Okay, so the DC guys, meaning that they're really difficult to, they're
yes,
very violent,
and so they use sheer violence and force against you at that jail.
Send a message like,
yes,
wow, that. So the whole place is just obviously a terrifying experience. There's
not just the inmates, but also the police. So, and if you make complaints or anything, they will target you.
Yeah. So you at this point had not been convicted of any crime. You are in custody, haven't had your day in court, and what you were convicted of, or I'm sorry, what they wanted to convict you of, was not at a level, in my opinion, for anyone to be in a supermax or be around murderers or rapists, or like it just seemed. Now I understand that you put everybody together in one big area, but did you feel like, oh my God, this is like overkill? Like I don't know. I mean, were you feeling like completely unjust in this moment, or you're like, I'm so helpless? I mean, what was your feelings?
Oh, for sure. Like my co-defendant, he was actually in the honor pod, and he actually got to work in the jail as a trustee. And he actually went to a USP, which that's a federal state penitentiary. A federal penitentiary where it's the most violent people go. And I didn't even go to nothing like that. So I was like, so how can you keep me in the max?
Yeah.
And while he's at the lowest part of the jail, the honor part, where he gets to mess with knives and go cook and clean and run around the jail all day. And here I am locked down with killers. Hey, a lot of people killed, a lot of robberies, a lot of violent stabbing, shootings. That was who I was with. And then on top of that, only one other person actually went to the max pod there, and they were there, I can't remember, a few hours, and they actually moved him out because they said it was too dangerous for him to be in there.
But like, he's cool. He's cool. The guy that charged with putting an arm on, or whatever it was that you eventually. I mean, okay, so where you were at and what you were dealing with compared to what eventually they found you guilty of is completely preposterous. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about it, right? What you even had to plead to, and we'll get into your reasons for that, because we had a phone call and some things you did share with me. There's no way in hell that it would even balance or make any sense. It's like so that being
Oh,
said,
oh,
clearly
oh,
I go ahead.
I missed out something.
Yeah.
So my co-defendant actually asked the one of the head jailers that kind of designate where you go,
Mhm.
Miss Taylor.
It's
And
Taylor.
she told him that the feds told me to keep me in max.
Of course.
Um, I don't get why they did that. And on top of that, none of my federal case showed up on the DOJ website. Everybody else was. If you want to look at their case or the evidence
When it was
against them,
going down,
you
right?
could you could go look it up. I was like blacked out.
Mhm.
Hey, people even I think if I
People
remember,
believe me that
she set up my the Gifts and Go account,
Your wife. Yeah.
and yeah, and they actually thought she was making a phony account scamming for J6 stuff because I
I
wasn't on the
see.
DOJ website until she had proved it to him. Hey, he went to jail.
I
So
see. 'Cause it's like this big giant crime syndicate. People that the J6, right? Everybody's right where everybody. It's just preposterous.
for sure,
Oh my god! There's like basically their guys. It's like they were just trying to throw Rico at you guys. Like you guys are like the. It's like, look, and I
yeah.
understand. There were different organizations connected to. Yes, there were some organizations that mobilized, and yes, there's all sorts of different stories. All sorts of stuff went down.
A lot of them are actually security detail, and they were supposed to be there.
Yeah, right. That's the thing is also, not that we have to really get into this, but we know now there were what 24, 25
26.
FBI, yeah, 26 it's agent provocateurs in the crowd. So, and they all got pardoned. So everybody got pardoned. It's wild. But look, brother, I'm glad you're, obviously can tell the story. Now you got dogs that are kind of vicious out there biting your fingers. I mean, that you probably were like after now to just as a side note, you lost a bit of your finger. It was wild. You have to go to his ex because I cannot post the pictures because you know how it is. YouTube, my band, it's nothing. But go to his ex account, guys. Follow Kyle. If you're jumping in, we're streaming live. If you're jumping in late, talking to Kyle Young. Pardon J6er got a pardon from Donald J. Trump, man, on his phone. Pretty crazy. It's crazy, man. So he got the fourth largest prison sentence out of everybody, 1,500 people. And when I was going through the evidence and reading, it's crazy, man, what they did to you. It's like, and then when you put, 8 years, who gets 8 years? It's like all sorts of bad people that do bad stuff. And you happen to be involved, certainly in the situation. We'll just say that.
I feel that I saved lives.
Well, let's definitely get into that. Now, before we do, I have a quick question. Back
Yep.
to the and thanks for your time, man. This is so
Yep.
good. Back to and you're coaching, you're teaching me, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
In fact, it's so crazy. In the room I'm in right now, I was watching that go down on TV, and here we are talking. It's just life is crazy. So you're in the max. You're dealing with all this kind of chaos, a lot of violence, and it's
Stabbings
terrifying.
and
Stabbings. You're away from
yep.
your family, your children, all those things. You're dealing with a lot. You're dealing with a lot, man. You're only
Yep.
human.
Yep. Yep.
You're
Yep.
only human, man. And you did nothing. You were found guilty of nothing, violent or any, all these things, right? And did you obviously everybody that was imprisoned or everybody was on trial? It was a political thing, right?
Yes.
They were trying to. We all know. Look, most people can't say this. I watched most of the J6 hearing, and what I came away with was this is one of the most ridiculous fake hearings in the history of the United States. I went in with an open mind, man, and came away going, what is going on? I almost said a bad word, but my mom's watching. Sorry, mom. What's going on with our government that they're doing like they manipulated the evidence? They just showed you the craziest stuff. They cut and the videos, and then they had people coming in and like hamming it up, like. And the only person that died was Ashley Babbitt, right? Some, there were, okay. You'll have to. How many people? There were protesters. 4 protesters died. No
And
police.
one officer later on that they said actually that he died because of it
But
never
he
happened.
didn't. Yeah, it never
No.
happened. So the reality is, it was not what was portrayed, and they just kept overdoing it. Okay, so that being said, you're 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 obviously there. It's because of the president and because you went to have a political
Oh, for sure.
protest. And there were some dark moments for you, especially after you had to plead guilty, right? And you're looking at 8 years.
So that's another thing too. So as soon as I pled guilty, they moved me to the medium part of the jail. A month later, moved me to the low with the rest of the J6ers, and I was there for about 2 months, 3 months or so, and that's the only time that I was ever around J6ers. Was that period of time out of the 3 years, 9 months? That's the only time they kept me segregated from them the rest of the time and before.
It's so weird, and you're not quite sure why.
No, I have no clue. I feel like there's something that got caught on camera or something about like that for them not to put it up on the DOJ website and ever show the evidence against me and all the footage. Why?
Well,
Why
we
is that?
know. Yeah. Well, is it Falcone? Falcone? How do you pronounce his last name again?
Mike Fanone.
Fanone. We
Yep.
know that his body cam footage still is classified, right?
No, you could actually
Okay.
the
They released.
video that we talked about that you could look up on
That's the video.
M5 News.
Yeah, he's supposed to be passed out and he opens his eye and peeks.
So you can see some of the footage, and it shows him where he when they're taking him off. So he walks away, and then he acts like he passes out, and then he's trying to turn off his body cam while they're carrying him.
Right.
And then they lay him down, and somebody said, "Well, he's around a bunch of protesters. He's probably faking that he's knocked out." And I said, "No." I said if you look around, it's all police officers. So then
Right.
he opens his eye, he looks around, then he looks down at his body cam and turns it off.
Right. And now for a while though, it was that video was not released for a while. Yeah.
Yes, and they actually lied to me during my detention hearing. They told me that there was no because they said that they told me that he said that I tried to take his firearm and kill him with it. And
Never
I
happened.
said, well, I said, what about the body cam? They said it has no audio. And then my lawyer said, why don't you read his lips then? And they said that's preposterous. We're not doing that. And so I didn't even think that there was audio, and there's audio.
They're like, wait, the truth? Hold on. We're the FBI. We can lie to you and get you to trip up. And if we can't get a charge on you, you just lie to us. We get you for lying. Hey.
Yeah. So I ended up getting sentenced,
No
and I
way.
ended up going. So I ended up getting sentenced. They moved. Oh, not even just that. So I went and got sentenced, and they
Yeah.
made a big deal. He actually went and said some things which was very blatantly lies. Like for one,
In the trial or on oath, under
no,
oath, right?
no, he's not on oath because I didn't go to trial. I took a plea bargain.
Gotcha. But
So
in the sentencing, he said he was able to talk and right.
Yep, and in sentencing, they're not under an oath, so they can lie all they want.
Right. He said, they're all this. Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
said I was the one person that ruined his life and took his
Right.
manhood, and that's the reason why he quit his job because he couldn't do it no more because I ruined the American dream for him. And I'm like,
yeah,
what?
he can't be a cop anymore, and he has brain damage, but he was able to write a book and he was able to go on CNN and get a job.
And he was able to make millions of dollars. Yes.
Yeah, make all sorts of money.
He called CNN from his hospital bed because he said they were telling the story wrong. And,
Sure,
yeah.
He had a heart attack, right? And then he had brain damage.
I won't disclose that, but or anything. I can't. I won't say anything about anybody's medical records.
Fair
But
enough.
before they disclosed them, I got to read his whole medical record.
Okay, because that's part of discovery, right?
They actually they blanked that out after I read it.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what I just said, I appreciate you having an ethical line. What I was in jest, that's all public record, and you can Google it. So he said he had brain damage and said he had a heart attack and all these things. He did get an interesting tattoo. We'll get into that. But back to we went on a bunny trail, but let me get back to yeah, right. We'll get to that. Let me get back to my original question. And this is a question that, it might be a tricky answer, but did you ever feel completely like regretful and despair that you had went to protest to exercise your free speech, and then you're like, here I am all of a sudden in Max? Did you ever have a moment not knowing a pardon was going to come? Right? No idea. Talk
I
about that
wouldn't.
feeling.
I wouldn't say that I had a regretful moment about going to the protest. Now, maybe getting myself lured in and going up and getting up close and that's maybe the regretful part. But ever going to protest, and I'm kind of glad I did, because when I sit back and think about it, I really feel that he was actually going to shoot someone. And I'm just not trying to make an excuse or anything, but that actually gives me like, if this didn't happen, I think he would actually shot someone. And it shows in the footage where somebody's putting up their hands and everything, and you see where he's starting to draw his gun out.
Was it
And
this
so,
Michael or somebody
No.
different?
yeah, Mike Fanone. Yep,
Mike
yep, yep.
Fanone, sorry.
So,
So right,
so with
so
all that,
there
I
was
felt I felt justified. I mean, not in all that, but
sure, but you made a choice in the moment,
yep.
and because you're a guy that's you're protective. So getting into the gunshot, I'm sorry, the gun issue. There was somebody saying they were going to shoot some. They were shooting rubber bullets. Talk about like what compelled you to get up there in that tunnel, because that's where they got all the footage and where it
Oh,
got wild.
actually, so he has a little bit of. We're kind of off a little bit of beaten trail, but
No,
so
don't worry, we got time.
yeah. So so I was listening to his speech and everything, and it's pretty the same speech. I mean, he's like, all right, he's not saying nothing new, and so they had speakers everywhere, so you could hear it in DC, anyways.
Whose
And
speech
so
is the president?
yeah, when he was speaking, and then
Right, right, the famous speech. So you were there for
yeah,
that. Okay.
yep, and, not for all of it though, because I seen people, they had their cell phones out and they're like, hey, they're letting people into the Capitol. We need to go up and support our fellow man. And I'm like, they're not letting us in the Capitol. I said, well, I'm going to wander off that way anyways. I'm just going to gander around DC. Never been there, so I'm just
Sure.
looking around, take my time. I'm not running.
Now, for folks that haven't been there, that's a really I've been there a few times. It's a really crazy spot because it's historic, and everywhere it's the Capitol Mall, right? So you
Yep,
got the Capitol, and then boom, right here you got all right. Okay, go ahead.
yep.
So you can
So
wander around. A lot of people
yeah,
out there.
yeah. And so there's people just starting to slowly walk up there, and then you had people like, come on, they're letting people in. Come on, come on. And you're like, there's no way they're letting them in. So I'm walking up there, and then all of a sudden the Capitol comes into view, and there's just lots of people around it, and you're like, all right, they are letting people in, and so that's what I'm thinking.
So
So we
you
start
just
getting a little,
kind of like followed the crowd.
yep, yep, and then all of a sudden there's this huge American flag, and they're saying we're gonna post this on the Capitol, and I'm all
Like
like,
people
oh, that's
carrying the flag, like all these people, huge flag, right?
yes, it's Matt. It's the one they hung up on
I'm assuming that showed up on.
the catwalk. Yes, that
Yeah.
big. It was that one. Um, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do that, and so that's what got me close. So I went up the scaffolding to try to get the flag up on the scaffolding, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, they're letting us in the Capitol this way." So I was like, "Oh, they're letting us in," and
What
now
could go
thinking back,
wrong?
yeah, thinking about that now, I'm all like, how would he even know? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he
Right.
had a
Okay.
blowhorn.
Oh, that's interesting. Because so a guy was like, "Come on, guys, let's get in," or people
So
were doing
everybody
it.
started going towards the tunnel there, and then as soon as you got into the tunnel, everybody's going into the tunnel, so you're kind of trapped in there, and everybody's pushing forward. It's because people can't see behind you, and
Sure.
then
So
all of a
you're
sudden
right.
and so at
Right.
the doors there's cops, and hey, now you're pushed up against them, and so and then all of a sudden
Oh.
then it starts getting a little crazy. Hey, then after about 5-10 minutes, I was like, all right, this is nuts. I got to get away from here, and
So
then
you can't see the cops till you're like, "Oh shit, I'm here." Wow.
I'm probably about 7 to 10 feet away from him the whole time.
Now
But
I don't want to bring your son into it, but I want people to know you had your son with you, right?
yes,
Okay. Now I'm only
so
mentioning that because it's part of the story that let me just say this really quick. Because you're on a roll, but I want people to understand you did not go covered in a mask. You weren't dressed like a terror, you weren't dressed like a bad guy. You had your son. That's why they were able to ID you. You didn't have a
yes,
mask on. So,
I
like, I
just
want
wasn't
people
trying
to
to
understand,
hide myself.
yeah, you weren't like, so clearly you were not showing up to create chaos because nobody would do that, bringing their kid and
Yeah.
having no mat, right? So just want to put that out there.
Oh
People that
yeah.
haven't checked it out, like there's pictures of you because you weren't hiding yourself. So this is an interesting story. Okay, go ahead. Just want to put that out there. It's important to know.
Oh yes, that definitely. I did not plan on anything like that, and especially with my kid. Oh yeah, I'll go there to. That's when they
Sure.
say, and people don't even realize when they say what is it called um insurrection. People don't
Yeah.
even realize what an insurrection is.
It's not even,
That's,
yeah, things, go ahead. Thank you. About
it's
time,
pretty
man.
much civil. It's pretty much a civil war that you plan to overthrow the government with sheer force and violence.
Yes. Now I want people, go ahead.
Not just that, there's little kids running
Yeah,
around.
there's babies. I want people to all see, and this is what's important for people. There are people that are going to disagree with you that watch this that think they know everything about insurrections and sedition. People don't know shit about it, man. Nobody talked about it until these old laws got pulled up in order to prosecute you guys. So I want people to know if there's anybody that knows the definition, Kyle does, okay? So he knows, baby. All right, go ahead. You're saying some cool stuff. It's okay. So you're stuck up there. It was a family event that turned chaotic. You're trying to hang the flag. You want to help. Hey, this looks like a fun thing to do. You're in the moment. It's history. And then you get pushed up to the line and you got the guys up there like Spartans, right?
Yes. And so you couldn't back out of it. It's not like you get away from it. So you just kind of, you really have to participate or get ran over,
right. So
out.
you're like fight or flight. You're amped. You're like, okay, I got to protect myself, right? Okay.
Yep. And so finally, there's kind of like an opening. I seen one open before, but time I like response to like leave, they already started coming back in. So we got stuck there for a little bit longer. Then as soon as it came open, I said, "Hey, we got to get out of here."
Yeah.
So we came out, and then we're just outside, and pretty much it was peaceful. We're chanting and cheering and saying whatever, you know.
That craziness. You're like, okay, well, okay, cool.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, we hear a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old little girl just got shot. That was Ashley Babbitt's, but they were saying it was a little kid.
Oh, that's what. Okay, wow. Okay,
so we thought a little kid got shot, and so now people are getting really angry. But not just that, they already were shooting people in the face. They already killed a couple people, and so it was already getting. And there's videos where cops shooting rubber bullets and throwing customer grenades in the crowd, and they're like, "No, quit doing that! You're gonna
pushing people off.
Well, yeah, because like here's the thing: everybody is like looking at the smoke and it got crazy. It's not like everybody just showed up off the airplane and brought all that, right? Like it was a very secure area. You have to get through a level of security to even get there, right? I've been to these big events. Not anything of that magnitude, of course. So people have to understand a lot of that chaos was created by the police in the beginning, the Capitol Police. I'm not making this up. This is factual. And we have a witness that was there. So
yes, that is
factual. So put your subpoenas away, motherfucker. I can tell the truth, baby. Don't send me papers. All right, go, Kyle.
And not even just that. So the other side, they're letting people in, and then then on my side, they were causing a riot. And then not even just that. Think about the bombs that were placed. Can't find that person. But what it did though is
on the videos.
At 10 o'clock that morning, they sent police officers home on one of the biggest rallies that ever happened. That with a bunch of upset people, you send most of your police home. So it left them with roughly 400 or 500 people. Well, then during or whatever it was, but then during the bombs, they already started evacuating. See, the people only know that they already actually shut down the certification because of the bombs. And so they're already evacuating before anybody even went in the building. Yeah. And then on top of that, it took half the police to the bomb. So it left a bare minimum. There's 2,500 police officers that work at the Capitol. If they don't want you in, all the DC guys told me that, said they had to let you in because you don't get in there unless they let you.
100%. I've been there. So when I'm like, they stormed it, what? Like, yes, they had to open the doors. And then later on, we saw the video evidence that they were. And then protesters were coming in and high-fiving the FBI and the police. Yeah, it just was chaos. So now, okay, so let's get into what you were, I suppose we can say charged with. The things that now that we're getting to the moment where you were in there. So there, and this is interesting to me because they gave you pleaded to 8 years.
No, 76. So the feds are real.
Was it 7 plus?
7 years, 2 months.
Okay,
so 6 months.
Which was like the max that they could give you.
Pretty
With the
much, yes.
charge.
Real
Yeah, and
close.
the
Real
only
close.
so people need to understand what was the charge you eventually pled guilty to?
Assaulting a police officer, which technically grabbing a police officer by the wrist would be, but then they said they wouldn't accept the plea unless they said severely bodily injury and restraint. Which so then it's all a point system. So that gave me 7 extra points, which gave me like 4 extra years on my sentence. And but on top of that, my lawyer said, "Oh, this in DC, this is like 18 months." And then it was like a little bit. Then after a little bit while go by, oh, maybe they're a little bit mad about this. Maybe 36 months. And then time we get up, he's like, "No, you're screwed."
Yeah.
That was my fourth lawyer, and we already spent a bunch of money. What am I supposed? What am I supposed to have my kids go homeless?
You went
So
to
I was all
4. Wow.
yes, yep.
Wow. Yeah,
And
okay,
there's a
wow.
big story on that too. Reason why, and
Well,
um,
we'll do this again so we can get
um
into. We definitely want to break down the video and stuff because I think that would be a very interesting thing for you to break down and you talk about it. So yeah, so I wanted to get into the years they gave you because assaulting, it was technically assault. You moved an arm or grabbed the arm or something.
yep,
This
for
is
two and a
not a
half seconds.
yeah, not a mystery. Everybody knows it. When you okay, so you were, the FBI and the deep state overreaching is just disgusting to me in a lot of different levels. And now after Trump wins again, we're seeing all this stuff come out. But back to you, when you had a sentencing packet or your 83 pages or something, right? Is that
Yes,
you were you eventually pled guilty for grabbing the wrist for through seconds, but they issued a sentencing pack that was 83 pages of all sorts of stuff nobody did. And it was
yes,
I read it. It's an entire narrative that the deep state would love you to believe. They have quotes in there you never said, but they don't make it clear you didn't say it. There's one in quote, somebody said kill something like crazy. Like there's photos. It's like I've never seen a legal document that looked like somebody wrote it on Reddit. It was unbelievable. And the fact that somebody that called themselves a lawyer thought that was reasonable. And then in the sentencing, the judge specifically said, and I looked it up, said that they were going harder on you because people weren't believing the results of the election. They had to make it clear and send a point.
and not even just that. That the MAGA Republic are threatening violence. So I have to make an example of you, and
Out of
you're a
you.
one man wrecking ball.
That's right. The
Yep.
one man wrecking ball.
And then she
That's
even
right.
said it wasn't political, and then turned around and made it political.
Very political. And I want people to understand, and I want to say, Kyle, you're very articulate. You're very I could just say you're engaging. You tell a really great story, and you're very transparent. And you're talking about a super difficult thing, and we're having a good time, right?
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
because you're a good sport, and you obviously persevered. But people need to understand what they did to you guys, and I'll say specifically you, and we know others in the trial. And I personally, I was not somebody that had a vested interest in any kind of cause. I was just like, look, I'll say this. I was thinking the same thing. What happened overnight? We were all thinking the same thing. And then 4 years later, hey, where are those 18 million votes that he got right? This is
yes,
reasonable stuff.
for
This is
sure.
stuff that we should be challenging as Americans and holding our government accountable. But in the case that obviously you guys had some choices that brought you in front of a judge, okay? And they used your trial and others as a way to make political points to try to threaten others to believe the election results.
Yep.
And my thing was like, okay, I thought there wasn't anything to believe here, but you're freaking out on everybody and trying to intimidate folks like a third world country.
If you don't believe the election results and you say anything about it, you're going to jail.
And that's what happened.
And
So
not even just that, like the whole narrative.
yeah,
Um. So like when we're leaving DC, they said white supremacists attacked the Capitol.
sure.
And you're like, what? And then they said that we killed a police officer, and I'm like,
Right.
oh my.
All sorts of just even today, people are confused about what really happened. And
They
that's
still think a police officer got killed over it,
they do.
and they still say it on the news.
They do. In fact, what's interesting is when I read a lot of the news articles about the time that that you had plead, they were regurgitating a lot of the old stuff, saying that it's the same stuff. Officer died, brain damage, somebody had, all this stuff. It was just so confusing. And I don't want to be on my soapbox. It's your time to talk, but I just was like, when I was digging into it and then watched the hearings, I'm like, this is it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen that our government is doing to citizens of our government that were exercising the right to protest.
For sure, and then setting them up and luring them into a trap. That's my personal opinion, and I have a lot of videos that I could share.
You were
If
there.
anybody wants any questions or anything, I can point you in all kinds of videos where like one video, it's a police officer coming up, but he's undercover, and it looks like a Molotov cocktail. And he goes, "Put this in my bag. We're in the crowd as Antifa," and then you can see his badge swinging,
Right.
and and
Right.
then you
And
have then you
I
have
bet
police. Oh, yep.
I was just gonna say, I bet people were so confused. They were engaging at times, and like maybe some people thought they were you just like cosplay guys. Like you don't. There's so much going on, man. People are making rash judgments with the information in front of them, and the FBI were in the crowd, and they
Yeah.
still won't tell us about like that should have all been like and
And do you really believe that there's just 26?
No, I don't. I did 20. They had to 26 that they had to, they basically needed the jaws of life for them to tell us the truth. And this is why we're doing this. We need new. This is the new media. We're all podcasters. We're all storytellers. The truth is non-negotiable.
It isn't.
So okay. So back to my question earlier was like, did you have despair? You said you held out hope. So let's jump to we're all over the place, but let's just jump to this. So Trump is campaigning again. You're you're in the max. Okay.
Yeah. No. When he's campaigning, I'm actually in federal prison now.
So you're in federal prison. Okay.
Yep.
Trump is running again. Okay. So obviously everybody's aware of the news and all these things, right? Trump it then begins when I think after Elon and like the momentum's crazy. Then Trump people start saying, "Pardon the J6ers." Okay. Then Trump starts saying he will do it. When you heard him say that, and we're first of all, when did you know that was a thing that could happen, a possibility? Because what I'm looking for is you're like in prison, right? And like you're looking at years, but I'm like, but this is a ray of light, like a little. How did that go down for you? Like, talk about that.
I'm kind of weird. I'm a little skeptic when I really truly believe into something. And almost like it don't happen. So I was
Right?
all like, in
You
my
can't
heart, I'm like,
process
if he
that, right?
becomes president, I'm out of here. But I'd always tell people, 50-50. But
So okay, so you're believing. Okay, so you're hearing it, but you're like, hey, I can't really focus on that. It is what it is.
I still had over 2.5 years left.
Yeah, I got to just get through this, put my head down, stay alive, take care
Oh,
of the
for
family,
sure.
right? Okay.
And
Your wife is holding out hope and she's fundraising and doing things for you, right?
And we
Kids are
always
having,
would go back and forth. Do you think he'd really do it? I'm like, I think he would. I just
so you
he's
held
he.
out, so you had hope.
Oh yeah,
And
yep.
then next time, I'm not coming home.
Like, I mean, because I'm just like getting excited thinking about that moment for you. Like I'm kind of getting emotional thinking about that feeling of like, okay, it's 2%, then 10%, then he's leading, and then a miracle happens. Biden drops out. They put Harris in, who I knew was never going to win. It was a fantasy. There's no way you can win an election with 3 months to beat. No way. It was a
Not happening.
fantasy. So I was like, Trump's winning this. Like I had no doubt, right? Because I know politics. I've been in it for years.
Hey, unless they stole the election.
Unless they stole the election.
Yeah.
And so Trump's like, he's just like, they're not doing it this time. He's like on a mission. So your percentage of like is growing. You're 60%, right? So so you just said earlier, if he got elected, you felt like he's doing it. You had no
Yeah.
doubt in your mind. Okay.
And that was probably the worst part of it. It was when he
Okay.
got elected. That last till the 20th was the longest time of my life.
Sure, before he got inaugurated.
And
Wow,
I
that's
actually
crazy.
on the 20th, because he said he was going to give a speech to the public about it,
Right.
and then he didn't, and I went. And then he went over to he said his main supporters, and then when he said these words, they didn't want me to talk about it. They want this to be uniting the country together. And I was gonna say something, but I'm not. But actions speak louder than words. Hey, and I was like, oh, I'm home. And I figured it'd be like a week or so. But when he went to the Oval Office, they called me 15 minutes later and told me, pack my stuff. You're going home.
No way. That's
Yep,
dope.
15 minutes after he hit the Oval Office, I was
Great
getting out the
story.
door.
I just felt like clapping for that. What a story. So okay, so who called you? Like the folks running the prison?
So when the guards came up to me, and I was actually at the time getting a Donald Trump tattoo on my leg. So it's about 90% finished. It just doesn't have one of his middle fingers up.
Well, you know what? I get one on my cheek.
Yeah, it has him flipping off. It was gonna put I'm back in a bad word, but
Right, right. I feel you. Okay,
um,
so wow, so you had no doubt. Like basically, like you're sitting in there in prison. A lot of it had to do because you showed up to support the president. I'm assuming when you even showed up, right? You weren't just showing up as a tourist. You're like, I'm going down there to voice my opinion. I'm
yes.
supporting Donald Trump because I
Uh,
don't believe this election was fair. That's why you went down.
but people don't realize though, if Joe Biden would have showed me evidence and all the affidavits and all the people talking, I would have went down there too. It's the people's voice. It
Right.
doesn't matter if I won or they won. It's about our voice. That's what people don't get. It wasn't just for Donald Trump. It was about you stole the people's voice. Period. Period. That's how I feel about it. I'm a libertarian myself. I'm
Yeah.
not Republican or Democrat. I'm actually a little bit more conservative, and I want less government. They mess everything up they touch,
Yeah.
and then they just want to take your money because they messed it up.
Yeah.
And it
Right.
says they'll fix it.
I feel like
Like
only libertarians would go down there anyway to protest.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And and people watching this, Kyle lived it. This guy lived it. So you're sitting around having your opinion about J6ers. You got your opinion about Trump. You got your opinion about this guy sacrificed for what he believed. And my opinion, this is, I'm in pro per. So if you guys want to subpoena me, go ahead. But my opinion is he was made an example and was a political prisoner. Sorry. And I agree with that you
And
were
if I wasn't, plenty others were. I promise you.
exactly. Yes. You had the fourth largest sentence. You did not have a mask on. You were an easy get. You were low hanging fruit. You did not
Yep.
run from them. You turned in yourself. You did the right thing.
They
And
even made turning in myself they even made that look bad. They said they said I lied and made up everything and didn't say I was there. I didn't say nothing. But
right. You can't, you're not going to talk without a lawyer.
yeah, but they acted like that. They acted like I said a whole bunch of stuff and that I made a big mock.
They said in court that you told the marshals you had nothing to do with J6, and that is a lie.
Yep. So they even tried. They're like, so even you turn yourself in, you lied.
Yeah,
So they even try to make that look bad.
I was there.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's my point. Is no matter what anybody did, they were screwed, man, because
And
they need, and the judges, like, look, if you guys look up his stuff, read what the judge said in the sentencing. They printed it in the newspaper, and it's crazy that a judge. The truth is that if that had gone to appeal, and we don't need to get into your appeals because I'm sure it was an auto, you were trying to appeal it, that would have been thrown out under appeal because you cannot pontificate on somebody. But the problem was you had already agreed to the deal.
Yep.
So
Oh,
that was the loophole.
And so not even just that. If you talk about persecution, people are political.
Yeah.
So there's another guy that I'm in jail with, and he's never been in trouble. He didn't do anything. Didn't hurt anybody. They were trying to give him more time than me, and they tried to do it. So he was one of the first ones in the Capitol, and before a whole bunch of people came in, and he actually went to the bathroom, and there's a TV up there, and it had something on the news or something, and it was I can't remember CNN or whatever. He said, "Oh," and he pushed the TV off and broke the TV. They gave him a 7-point enhancement for that, for breaking the TV. He said, "I'll replace it. I'll pay for 10 of them," and so they wanted to give him like an extra 3 to 5 years just for the TV.
They look for anything to, and I'll just say full disclosure, you had some when you were younger, you'd had some issues with the law.
Oh yeah, I was a drug addict.
Right.
I've been cleaning.
Somebody's going to put that in the comments. Oh, dude, right? And we're not disclosing it, but it's only a relevant thing because they used it against you to bump your sentence up, dude.
Oh, for sure.
You were
Actually,
a recovering addict. Go ahead.
Actually, she told me that she was going to give me that sentence even without my criminal history. So this isn't because you're past criminal history. It's because that you're a wrecking ball.
Yeah, you are the wrecking ball. So now you should get that tattooed. Just kidding. Okay, so you're getting a Trump tattoo in prison or in jail. Yep. You're getting a prison tat of Trump when he's about to pardon you. So it's just okay. So
I figure I had a week or so, paperwork to go through. No, it was 15 minutes.
Get the fuck out! Right? Sorry, Mom. Okay, so going back to that. Okay, so so election day. So pretty much you're like, okay, so let me just say this. Everybody that voted for Trump knew they were voting for J6 pardons.
Yep.
So for people to criticize you guys, for people to hold it against you, to take away you can vote again, you got all your rights restored with the pardon, right? Am I correct?
Yep.
So for people to act like you guys should be ostracized is un-American, and it's a joke. But so
until it happens to them.
Until it happens to them.
That's what everybody ever met in the court system. Hey, our court system's fair, and then as soon as they get touched by it, they're like, "Oh my God, this is evil."
You don't understand. And now I've never been in your situation at all, but
and I don't ever want you to be.
No, you don't. And see, that's the fact that you have such a great attitude too, and you're able to really joke and look at the future. It's just it's incredible because you still had that positivity, even though you had no chance, like just no chance of knowing the future. Okay, so let's go back to election day. So election day, okay. So how did you feel? You wake up and you're like, okay, how's this going to go? I'm either going to have to survive for 2.5 years or I'm getting out. Like, what's that feeling on election day? Was it like double Christmas?
I actually when they're doing the vote counting, I probably watched that for an hour, and I actually said, "Oh, he won," and I went to bed.
So did you wait? But election morning, did you wake up nervous or did you feel great?
I already knew he won.
See, I felt like Trump had it in the bag. I never felt like he was going to lose it all.
Soon as all the states started coming in, I said, "Oh, this is over. That's in the bag, done." Wow. I didn't have no second thought. I've watched it before, and you kind of see and he was winning everything, hands down.
So okay, so he wins, and okay. So does your wife call you? Do you call her? Like, we
call each other. I can't remember the whole thing, but we're pretty ecstatic.
Well, I can't call you.
No, I called her.
Yeah, we're like, honey, hold on, I'm finishing up my Trump tat. This is a great day. I'll call you later. So where did you get the tat again? Did you tell me where's it at? Where'd you start it?
Here we go. On my leg.
You got
okay, on the leg, right? I know you haven't finished it yet. There we go. Whoa, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Okay, so it's not finished yet, though.
Nope.
Okay, everyone needs to give to your. Is it a GoFundMe so we can get that tattoo finished?
It's gifts and go.
Yes, actually, I'm putting it up.
Free, right? Kyle, it's free, Kyle, right?
Free, Kyle.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, it's up here. If you want to donate to the fam, man. Now, all joking aside, Obviously you got hit financially, a tremendous, terrible thing, right? You can't work, you had to work.
Still
And
can't for a little while.
yeah, and then you just lost a tip of your finger. That's wild. A little dog attack. The Biden administration did not cut your finger off. Let's just be honest, okay? Put it out there.
I think he was a Biden supporter, though.
Right? Yeah. The dog. Yeah. Anybody that bites sideways, yeah. So it's up here, guys. If you want to donate, feel free, man. And I did check it out. It's an active page. People are actually donating because they believe in this family. So there you go.
It actually saved my children and my wife from going homeless.
Yeah.
No matter what you think of me, my wife and kids didn't deserve any of that.
Not at all.
So,
And I'm glad
yep.
you brought that up because it's a joke to me that anyone would think negative about anyone that goes to protest to support the American.
Actually, people called my little 8 or 9. How's she old?
She was 9.
She was 9, and so they got her phone number, and they would call, and they said some real. They probably should have went to prison for sex crimes for what they said to her, and that's just. Why would you do that to a little kid? Say it to me. I mean, you have a problem with me, not them.
Coward.
I can take anything.
We have the voicemails.
I could take the truth. I could take a lie. I could take somebody being harsh towards me. It is what it is. You could feel a certain way. I'm not going to take that personal. It's America. You can feel whatever way you want. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not even going to be upset with you. I wouldn't even have an argument with you about it. I'll tell you how I feel. You tell me how you feel. We go about our separate ways.
Yeah. What's that?
If you want to hear the voicemail.
Well, honestly though, and out of respect for your daughter, because obviously she was targeted, I don't want to give these lunatics any kind of
Yep.
Voice, right? But I appreciate you guys are so transparent. I appreciate that, and that's what really gets me is when I look at these stories, and this is why I'm doing this. I want to talk to the people that went through this. I see patriots, I see Americans, I see folks that were protesting, and that is the most American thing to do is protest. But what was done to you guys through the media is just preposterous. I mean, dude, you didn't do anything to anybody. You didn't do anything to anybody. You just happened to be on federal ground, which is a thing. They can trump the charges up. Trump, no pun intended. They can take the charges to a next level. You happened probably to run into the. Okay, let me just be honest when we talk about Mike. My opinion, I don't think that was. I think that guy's.
Yeah, you gonna show the pictures?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll end with that. But look, the guy got pardoned for what he. Let's just be honest, right? Look, all I got to say is if if I'm him, none of the stuff I see looks like he's a guy that is honest. And you ran into the wrong guy because then he started saying you tried to kill him and stuff, and that's not even true, not even close to the truth. Well, and then they said you tried to throw a speaker on his head, and that's preposterous.
Not even just
that.
So,
you had a flashlight.
Hey, so not even just that. So if I forgot where I was going with that. So the news they changed up what was said because at first they said I even have copies of what the news said at first that Kyle Young was going to take Mike Fanone's firearm and kill him with it, right. and so then at the end when the truth was actually coming out, but they didn't want the truth to come out, they started switching it that people in the crowd said kill Mike Fanone. And none of that happened.
None of it happened.
None of it happened. But do you see how they switched it from me to ever? So they made it a broad spectrum. They didn't know who, but it was someone.
A grain of truth, right? And that's why. And that's what. So if people are interested, they should. Your 83-page document can be found online where your I guess the sentencing packet or whatever that is.
And I'll start posting videos and pictures and everything on my X account if people want to go there and look too.
Yeah, look, Kyle is an open book. You guys follow him on X, Kyle Young, J6er. Hey, he's owning it. So follow him. But yeah, I want to just make a quick point, and then we'll show the tattoos. I just think it's just disgraceful for people to judge anyone that went there and got caught up in that because you don't know what went down. You don't know the truth. And these are good Americans. Now, yes, there are people that obviously was there to create chaos. No people were there. but you were not one of them. And it just seems like to me that most of the people that got caught up in this were not the ones that were doing most of the violence or the damage. It was the ones that showed up, got caught up, didn't have a mask on. And there's a lot of people that then the internet became a thing, and all these it's just crazy to me that there were people online being sleuths and doing whatever they could to try to catch anybody that was there and turn them in. And for what? For what? For not believing an election that we were all puzzled over?
I thought it's America. We had the right, and not even that. I think we're even supposed to even not trust our government. We're supposed to look for ourselves.
And that's what's crazy, is that it became this whole, and then obviously Twitter was taken over and social
Hey,
media.
do would have stopped the whole thing of anybody even showing there if they would have did an open thing and proved, hey, look, nothing was stolen, and there was enough people saying it
Yeah.
by the masses that it should have been for, hey, if to make peace with, what I mean, so everybody gets along, proven. Because most people like me, if hey, this didn't happen, here's the proof, I would have been like, oh, he lied.
Yeah. And you were tried in the media, 100% tried in the media. Knowing the story, and then after I did all my research and we talked, I went back through, and almost every news article was like completely ridiculous. It was just like,
For sure.
except the whole one man wrecking ball. That was kind of a cool handle, I gotta say that.
Hey, then when I got my pardon, guess what the
Oh
news
yeah.
did again?
What's that?
They actually called me up and said, hey, you want to do a, and they're straight left wing here at the Des Moines Register, and
Yeah, they
they're
were
like, would
killing
you?
you. I was reading some of those articles. They were killing you.
Yeah, they're like, hey, would you want to do an interview with us? And I was like, sure, I'll get back to you. Never did.
No, you
Not
got
not.
you a random podcaster named Jason. I got to do my interview. That cat right there. Well,
And
dude,
so
I really appreciate. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so they reiterated the whole thing all over again to the public. The violent J6er got released.
Right. Yes. Right. You did all these terrible things. You grabbed the guy's arm for 3 seconds or something. It was just nuts. And then you were carrying a flashlight, which they called the strobe light. Look, it just like, look, if I was on a jury hearing all this stuff, I'd be like, what? This is no. Now, the one thing that was helpful for me is I've been to the Capitol and I've been on the grounds, and I could see how people could get pushed in. I could see, right? It's smaller than you think, but then it's a large building and there's a lot going on,
There's
and
probably 50 or 60,000 people that was around the Capitol, if not
it's
way more.
it's crazy. And you have to understand that the Capitol Police and the FBI, they know that building up and down. There's all sorts of passageway. They can pop in and out. Look, look, if everyone wants to believe that everybody was there to try to overturn and who's going to overturn? You're not overturning the election. You know what they did? They unfortunately killed some people. Poor Ashley got shot in the face. Everybody went home.
Roseanne Boylan and all them, yes.
Roseanne, and then they went downstairs and had a chicken dinner or something. Then they came back up, and like, what blew my mind is after all that chaos and people were killed, they didn't take a day and think about it. They came right back up and certified the election, went home like a bunch of ice cold villains, man. Like our Congress, they're wild, man. Those look, I can't get into it, but where you know better than I do. They could care less. Well, I'll say this on your pardon, and I want to. I pulled some info up. A lot of people are confused about a pardon, and the DOJ's website says it's an expression of the president's forgiveness and can be granted in recognition of the applicant's acceptance of responsibility for the crime and good conduct and all these things. But some people can interpret it. The Supreme Court, in some cases, has interpreted it and upheld it as an admission of no guilt, as though the crime never happened.
Oh, and don't forget the tattoos.
Let's get into that. Okay, so we didn't talk about Mike a lot. Maybe we'll do a Mike show. Mike likes to ham it up. He had, I don't know if people pay attention. There was that interaction with Mike and some of the other cats that got more time than you. And was it the GOP convention or whatever the CPAC or whatever that was. There was a little bit of interaction. Mike is doing well. So what we did was we wanted to talk about. Well, I'll let you get into that. I got to pull that. Where did it go? I have it here somewhere. Bear with me here. Let me pull it back up. So go ahead and tell the story while I'm pulling it up about the tattoos for Mike.
All right. I'm going to start back with Ashley Babbitt getting killed.
Yeah.
So that police officer, he actually was in trouble and had multiple punishments or whatever write-ups as a police officer, shooting up his neighbor's house and some other things. Mike Fanone, he was actually in trouble for assaulting a black man that ended up being a lawyer. He ended up suing the police department for $175,000. And so he was already in trouble too. So you have two officers out in trouble. This is my little conspiracy theory.
Okay.
He shoots Ashley Babbitt for no reason. Then he calls in later and says that shots are fired. They're shooting at me. And then next thing you know, Mike Fanone, he's going to pull his firearm, and I would guess probably he even said that he was going to kill some people. But the funny thing about it, he was going to pull his gun out and shoot some people, but he afraid that we would kill him. Aren't you supposed to be afraid that we're going to kill you so you'd shoot us, not the other way around? And
right.
So, and then he got invited to the White House and did a fundraiser, made like $500,000, and
Hunter Biden.
By Hunter Biden, and then he's with Hunter Biden.
That's right.
He gets hired on at CNN, making some money, and all this, and doesn't even really work there. He just gets a paycheck, and every now and then he just comes on and does a little talk, then he cuts a paycheck,
Right.
and then so he gets these tattoos on his hands.
Now, he didn't have these tattoos until after the event.
Yeah. Yes, and then it says, "I'll take the money, but these fools don't own me." Now, what does that tell you right there in itself?
That the fools own him because he has to remind himself that that's not real, but it's real. He's getting owned.
Yeah.
These are the weirdest tattoos, honestly. They're really weird. That's wild.
But to me, it explains it all. He became a multimillionaire. They wrote a book for him.
He wrote a book. So everybody,
I thought he wrote it himself, but
yeah, you guys are trying to put food on the table, get your life back together. He's crying about CNN doesn't pay him enough, and he's got a book and all these things. I'm just saying that's the facts. But
I ruined his life. And he's pretty much a movie star now. He gets to hang out with. Who was that? He got to hang out with.
Oh, that redheaded.
No, Dave De Niro.
Yeah.
David. Yeah. When he went and spoke in front of Trump's, when he got found guilty, him and Mike Fanone went and spoke out in front of that.
Right. That worked out for them, didn't it?
That had Trump's head.
Yeah, so he gets to hang out with movie stars and the president's son and make millions of dollars, but I ruined his life, you know.
Well,
I think he should write me a big fat check and tell me thank you.
He said, yeah, right. He should give you a royalty. Hey, you're the one-man wrecking ball. So without you,
none of this would be possible.
Well, look, hey, we're gonna see you guys do some great things, man. I really appreciate this.
If I make it out to California, I'd like to meet you face to face.
Dude, we're hanging out. Dude, if I get out there, that would be fun, man.
You live out in California, right?
Yeah, I'm in Northern California. Yeah. And then I'm an actor, so sometimes I work in LA. I'm studying, and I got into the craft older. I'm like, let me just, this is my third gig. So also podcasting is important to me to share stories, but I want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate your time. And
thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And you're talking about some tough things, but you're telling the truth. And you're a man that puts his family first. And that's, obvious in everything you do. And your wife is a wonderful person and stood there, and she's helped us with the interview. So thank you.
I love
you. Thank you. So I just want to say again, guys, follow Kyle. He's a pardoned J6er. Donald Trump pardoned him, man. Not many of you guys can say that. So if you want to criticize him, shut up, because you can't talk. You can't even sit at his table, man. He's done some things that you can't even imagine. You follow him on X. He's got some cool stuff. The dog bit his finger. I didn't get into that. There's some very terrible pictures if you want to see that. This is a tough guy. And please subscribe, guys. I really appreciate that. Subscribe to him, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel. Really appreciate that. And that being said, Kyle, I'm going to let you go, man. But I'll give you the last word. What do you want the people to? What's the last thing you want to tell the people? And we'll do this again. But you have the last word. What do you want to share to the people listening?
Thank you all for watching, and God bless America. And go Donald Trump.
Hey, he's got the tattoo, baby. He's did the time, man. He's got the street cred. Good luck, my friend, and God bless you too, man. God bless America. We'll stay in touch, and thanks for following. Take care, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. You turn this thing off.
I kicked him. All right, I got him. It's the kick. That's called the kick. It's like when you're ending the call, it says do the kick. Wow, man. Wow, I have a typo there. I'm sorry, guys. I got a typo on I misspelled YouTube. Wow, I'm just collecting myself. That was a great moment. That was a great interview. That was wild, man. Got a chance to talk to Kyle Young, the fourth largest sentencee after going through the J6 trial. He got the fourth largest sentence. They named him the one-man wrecking ball. And if you dig into the story, it's not what you think. It's really a story of a guy who's a patriot, and he went to protest, which was his right to protest, got caught up in a one hell of a riot, and he wasn't wearing a mask. He was just doing his thing and ended up being, on the FBI's list. And he had one hell of an experience, went to prison, survived it, and then got a pardon from the president. It's a great story. It's a hopeful story. And say what you want about the folks that went through that. They've paid their price. They've paid their price. And I wanted you to hear from him. He's a great storyteller. He was able to tell the story really well. And I want to move on as a country. So does he. We all want to move on from this. But there's a lot of people that just can't let this go. Everybody's been pardoned, and it's in the past. We need to let this go. And I know if you follow Kyle, man, follow him on X. He's a very transparent guy. He'll answer your questions. And if what you saw moved you, actually hearing Kyle, having an hour to listen to his story, not listen to what the media says about him. If you were motivated by that, you should consider giving to his family. There are people that have given money to them to help them get through it. And it seems like the J6 political prisoners or the J6 crew, it seems like they're one tight family. And that's an incredible thing. Every time I've talked to anyone I've talked to a few people that were there, no one on that magnitude. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore of of time given and time served from this situation. But they're all just really good patriots and people that still have hope, man. He's not bitter. It's crazy. What blows me away is to watch him talk and just really just have a really great spirit and attitude about it and still be hopeful about America. I mean, how the president of the United States reached out and touched his life and set him free. I mean, that's an incredible story. So if you liked what you watched, please share this video, man. Like it and share it. I want people to hear the story. We're streaming live right now, but if you're watching the replay, I'd really appreciate you to put a comment. Tell me if you like this. If you have, if you have issues with the story, hey, put it in the comments. We're an open book. Please like and share this. If you're upset at me that I gave platform to a guy who you're upset over because of some weird political hang up, we're all Americans and you should get over it. But it's all good. And then thank you for watching. If you don't like it, you watched. I still appreciate it. I just want you to watch. I want you to just hear his story. And that being said, I'm just going to wrap up. Thanks, guys. Wow. Special thanks to Kyle. Special thanks to his wife who helped facilitate this and chimed in and gave us helped us tell the story. And I would like to have you follow me on Snap, IG, Rumble, YouTube. Subscribe. Please subscribe. A subscription goes a long way. Any kind of action you take on our posts shows the algorithm that what you're watching is important to you, and it will also feed it to others who the algorithm thinks it would be important for them to see it. So please share and like my stuff and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Have a great one. And I want to take a moment to let you know that this broadcast is brought to you by. Oh, hold on there. I got some screens. Let me jump through my screens here. This show is brought to you by Hollywood Zombie Productions. Have a great night, and thanks for watching. That was one hell of an interview.